Hello and welcome to HCS Connects. I'm Kelly Gorel with Hampton City Schools. Today we have Dr. John Caggiano with us, who is our Deputy Superintendent and Chief of Staff. So welcome to HCS Connects.
Thank you very much, Kelly. It's great to be with you this morning.
Yeah, and you have been on HCS Connects several times throughout the years, coming to talk to us with your hat of curriculum instruction and assessment between test scores, SOLs, accreditation, a little bit of budget talk.
That's right.
But now you have a new position with the school division. You were Deputy Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, and now Deputy Superintendent and Chief of Staff. So before we even get into what does that all mean, let's learn a little bit about John Caggiano, because when you're usually here, you're talking Hampton City Schools and test scores. So tell us a little bit about your background.
My background, I began in education 28 years ago as a fourth grade teacher, and certainly have Dr. Marietta Brown, the former principal and mentor of mine at Paul Burbank Elementary School. So taught fourth and fifth grade at Paul Burbank Elementary, and then moved to the middle school level as an assistant principal, went back to the elementary level as a principal at Asbury Elementary for a few years, and then went back to Sims Middle School, where I was an assistant principal as the principal there for 4 years. And then I had a brief hiatus from Hampton. I was in Isle of Wight County for 4 years as a principal of a 4, 5, 6 school, grades 4, 5, and 6. And then I've been back now for, close to 13 years.
Okay.
And when I came back to Hampton, assumed the role of Executive Director of Elementary School Leadership and Compensatory Programs. And for the last 8 years, I've served as the Deputy Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment.
Well, and in those 8 years, a lot has happened under your old role, you know, in regards to rewriting curricula, being 100% accredited for the first time in Hampton City Schools history. So, you know, I'm not trying to steal all your thunder, but tell us a little bit about what accomplishments have happened with your past role.
Sure, yes. Very proud, as you mentioned, of all of the curriculum rewrites that we've had. So as you can imagine, in a K-12 public division, regardless of the size, a lot of different courses, grade levels, et cetera. So we have rewritten over 200 different curricula. And I'm really proud of the approach we've taken to do that, and the feedback we've received from teachers about the end product. And so, you know, I think looking back 8 years ago, in some cases we had some silos where, for example, if you were an elementary teacher, the format looked one way in this content area versus another. So a lot of consensus building and research around what is a good framework for our curriculum. And so we worked on that, and then slowly over time, really leaning on our expert teachers to rewrite a lot of that curriculum. And now we're very proud of where we are. And so it's tightly aligned not only with the state's minimum expectations as far as standards of learning, but we've incorporated a lot of rigor. You know, when we talk to business partners about what they're looking for skill sets for our graduates, some of that is not necessarily in the standards of learning. So we've embedded that throughout the years as well. So very proud of the accomplishments there.
And I really think that we need to hit on a little bit harder is that you said, like, our own teachers have written this. We get feedback from our teachers, because if you're not in education, or you're not even technically a teacher, you may still be in education, but a support role, you know, in a different area. When we say rewrite curricula, I mean, what does that mean exactly?
Sure. I think, you know, when you look at previous superintendent Dr. Smith, current superintendent Dr. Haynes, and really the expectation of the school board for a lot of central office leaders, it's this servant leadership philosophy, right? So looking through the lens, what we like to say, looking through the lens of a first-year teacher. If a first-year teacher can come and grab our curriculum, pick it up as they plan for instruction, whether it's the next week or the next 9 weeks, do they have what they need to do their job and do it effectively? And so again, feedback from teachers, can you incorporate this? What about a resource in this? Or is there a strategy maybe that's a little bit different for a group of students with disabilities? And so we've really listened to what our stakeholders, internal stakeholders, wanted to have in a comprehensive, robust curriculum. And I believe we've delivered that. So much that we've said, you know what, this is not only great for Hampton City Schools, but there's some smaller divisions who aren't as human resource rich, let's say. So we've begun selling our curriculum on a subscription basis to other divisions. We now, as we embark on the 23-24 school year, have over 15 divisions using Hampton's curriculum. And so the impact of our teachers, not only impacting students and staff here in Hampton, but far beyond Hampton's borders.
And not just the impact for our teachers, but the impact for our students. So talk to me a little bit about the successes of our students, in your past role with curriculum instruction and assessment.
Sure. When you look at, for example, expectations from the Virginia Department of Education around standards of school quality and meeting minimum benchmarks, and the SOLs really are, as I said, minimum expectations. But if your curriculum is not tightly in line, students can't show up on test day and demonstrate their knowledge of state expected as far as materials go. And so we're very proud of where we've grown from a state accreditation standpoint. Again, preliminary data indicating as we approach the new school year that 100% of our schools will be accredited without conditions. So again, we're very proud of that. So it gives our students and puts them in the best possible light to show what they know, again, on minimum competency tests. But when you look at so many other ways that we check for and assess student understanding, and again, going back to what our business partners in higher ed have said, these are the skill sets we want, we're seeing that as well. So we have what's called a balanced approach to assessment, where not just a multiple choice assessment determines what a student is capable of doing or demonstrating. And so project-based learning activities, challenge-based learning activities, so all sorts of different ways now that we monitor and check for understanding.
And monitor and check for understanding, but also being very data-driven. And tell us a little bit about how that has just expanded in the last 5 to 10 years in regards to data.
Yeah, and that's been a game changer for education. You've seen that in professional sports as well, using data to make decisions. And so, for example, when we look at SOL data or observational data or such non-academic data as attendance, it drives where we deploy a lot of our human resources and do so in a strategic manner. So when our curriculum leaders go out to conduct walkthroughs, we know where, for example, we have perhaps a larger number of first-year teachers, and so that data indicates that. Or there was a school in a certain grade level that struggled in mathematics last year, and so that school gets a little more attention from the curriculum instruction and assessment department. So again, being very strategic from a continuous improvement standpoint on how we use data to support our ultimate goal of teaching and learning.
So even though you have this new role of Chief of Staff, your fingers are still in curriculum instruction assessment, as well as other departments, as we always joke about playing in everybody's sandbox. So explain to us exactly that is a new position to Hampton City Schools, Chief of Staff. What does that mean? Like what are your roles and responsibilities? Like try to explain that to us so we understand that organizational chart.
Sure, it is a new position in Hampton City Schools and something I believe the school board has been grappling with for the last couple of years. And so, when you look at the superintendent position, the superintendent of schools position, the demands of that job and how it's evolved over the years. I think back 40 years ago in that position, and it really was managing the day-to-day operations of a school division. When you look at, for example, our mission, our vision, our mantra, our new mantra that's been updated recently, it was one division, one transformation. It's now one community, one transformation. So really for the superintendent of schools to be highly visible in the community, to be engaging on a regular basis with business partners, to be working with city about recruiting new businesses to the city, to be serving on boards on top of managing all the day-to-day operations, that's difficult, right? So you have this position that is really a right arm of the superintendent and can handle some of the day-to-days, and perhaps some of the division leadership team members now report to the chief of staff. I think the school board was also wise, not necessarily for putting me in the position, but for wise from a succession planning standpoint. When you look at the chief academic officer of a division, or in my previous role, deputy superintendent for curriculum instruction and assessment, most folks who go into that position, when they leave that position, most of them retire or they move on to another division as a superintendent. And so from a succession planning standpoint, what this position also does, me having served in that previous role for 8 years, the new chief academic officer, which is what that new position is called, Dr. James Harris, I'm also able to serve in a mentor role to him, executive coach, if you will, on the clock, and so bringing that person up to speed with the demands of that particular job. And so the structure, I think, lends itself to where we are in today's day and age, particularly as you look at the demands on the superintendent position.
Yeah, we always say, that is one position, whew, That is a lot of work. And like you said, so many things to juggle, so many hats to wear. Because especially with us, we truly are one community, one transformation. We've shown it through our transformation of our high schools with the academies.
That's right.
Now we're a Ford NGL designated learning community K-12. So those experiences and how that's changing within Hampton City Schools. So it is very comforting to know that the school board, even though they grappled with it over several years, have landed on this really needs to be the structure so that we can continue, that excellence with intentionality.
That's right.
So what are you looking forward to the most this upcoming school year in your new position?
Well, I would say in my new position, I'm actually very excited about something that we started in my previous position, so I can talk about that for just a minute. And that is in reference to some science kits that we're rolling out this year. So for the last couple of years, we have worked with a for-profit company and paid someone to create kits for us to engage students in some experiential learning at the elementary and middle school level. And this year, what we've decided to do is rather than pay someone, a company to do that for us, to do it ourselves. And so we thought of kind of like that HelloFresh concept where a teacher receives just in time a kit at the beginning of a quarter that has recipes, if you will, or directions on how to carry out a highly engaging, meaningful science experiment with all the tools you need as parts of the components of the recipe as part of this kit. And so we'll deliver those a couple of weeks before the beginning of a quarter. Teachers will implement the lessons throughout the quarter. We'll pick that kit up at the end of the quarter and deliver a new one just in time. So that's one thing I'm most excited about.
And that sounds pretty unique. Like, I would guess to say that a lot of school divisions are not doing that currently. And that's where we always keep saying about giving our teachers their Sundays back, that we want to have all these resources for them to be successful, but also to still balance that professional and personal life.
Yes, and so the beauty is, going back to your original question about this particular position, even in this current role, being able to have my thumb in working closely with Dr. Harris in teaching and learning. But I think when you look at this role, and again, if you go back to the purpose and if you look at the job description, I think part of what the school board and Dr. Haynes are looking for is an opportunity for some additional synergy, right, between departments. So for example, we all know the landscape now is in reference to teacher recruitment. And right now, a lot of that for years has lived in the Department of Human Resources. If you look at your department, Public Relations and Marketing, you've started to play more of a role. So how can the Deputy Superintendent Chief of Staff work with both departments to bring some more synergy there, enhance collaborative efforts around teacher recruitment? So that's just one idea. I'm also excited of, as you mentioned, getting in your sandbox a little bit.
Hey, I'm really excited about that.
As well as HR as well. So it's an exciting opportunity for me professionally, and I think it is a smart move for the division as well.
Excellent. So as we wrap up, anything else you would like to share with us? Any fun facts or just anything about Hampton City Schools?
Just fun fact, Dr. Haynes and I started 28 years ago together as employees in Hampton City Schools.
Oh, wow.
So excited about the opportunity to work with him under his leadership, and now beginning our 29th year. So a few folks are asking, so are you stopping at 30, 35, 40? And we haven't given an answer to that, but we plan to conclude our careers in Hampton and are excited to do so. This system has given so much to us, and we enjoy giving back. And so it's a pleasure to be in this new role in this capacity.
Well, excellent. Well, we're excited for you to be in that new role as well, and also for Dr. Haynes as he has started July 1 as the new superintendent for Hampton City Schools. And but thank you for being here with us today and just sharing a little bit about that new role and really just the impact you've had on Hampton City Schools.
Well, thank you, Kelly. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us on HCS Connects. Remember, it's easy to stay connected.